Before we dive into today's special episode, I just want to take a moment to speak from my heart. Creating this podcast, these conversations, these deep dives, this soul work, it's something I pour so much time and energy and love into. I really feel a purpose here. And right now, it's unmonetized. It's truly a labor of love. If this podcast has been nourishing you, if it's brought you comfort, inspiration, or maybe just a reminder that you're not alone in your journey, I'd be so grateful if you could help keep Serenade to the Soul alive and thriving. These are a few simple steps, beautiful ways to do just that. You could subscribe so you never miss an episode, rate and review the podcast. It really helps others find this community. You could share it with a friend who might need it. And if you feel called, you could drop a little something, a little love into the PayPal piggy bank. The links are in the show notes. Truly, any amount helps. It all goes toward keeping this space sustainable so we can grow and thrive together. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this journey with me. I really, truly couldn't do this without you. Now, let's get into today's episode. This episode serves as a prelude to a series of upcoming conversations with special guests on the topic of body image and our relationship with food and how we treat ourselves. I'm really excited to bring this content to you because most of us, let's face it, we are struggling with cultivating a healthy relationship with our bodies and how we nourish them. Together, we'll explore how to return to joyful living by reconnecting with our bodies as a natural, divine intelligence. We'll dive into principles of intuitive eating, honoring hunger, listening to the subtle signals of our body, and reclaiming trust in ourselves around food. Learning to recognize and honor that very first biological signal of hunger isn't just about eating. It's about rebuilding a sense of safety, respect, and harmony within ourselves. So whether you're navigating body image challenges, emotional eating, or simply looking to bring more ease and joy into your life with your relationship with food, this episode is your starting point for freedom, curiosity, and mindful nourishment. Welcome to Serenade to the Soul, a yoga and wellness experience. I'm your host, Jackie Ohm. Before we dive in today, I want to invite you into sacred space with me. If you're able, go ahead and pause whatever it is you're doing. Or you can always come back to this part of the episode when you're ready to take that pause. Or maybe you just imagine it. If you are ready, find a comfortable position. Close your eyes if that feels good and safe. And take a nice deep breath in. And a slow, grounded, gentle exhale out. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw soften. Feel your body settling back home to yourself. This is your moment, a chance to stop spinning your wheels, to stop running on autopilot, and to simply be, realign, reconnect. In this pause, you are nourishing your soul, your light, your growth. Let your facial muscles soften to drain the emotional tension. Take one more breath in and hold it for a moment. And release it slowly, like you're letting go of the weight you've been carrying. You're home. You're present. You are here. Now, if you're ready, open your eyes. Be grateful for the environment within you, below you, above you, and all around you. Let's step into today's episode together. Welcome back to Serenade to the Soul, or welcome if this is your first time tuning in. Today, we're going to talk about something we do every single day, and yet it can carry so much weight, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and that's eating. For me, eating hasn't always been joyful. There have been seasons where food was comfort, seasons where food was punishment, seasons where eating felt like control or like complete loss of control. I've overexercised, underexercised, I've restricted, I've lost control, I've feared certain foods, I've silenced hunger cues, and I've punished myself for not looking the way I thought I should. And in all of that, something got lost. Joy. The simple joy of sitting down to a meal, breathing, savoring, laughing, tasting. I remember as a child being so joyful and appreciating all the sensations that came with eating naturally. And then around the age of 17, it really shifted. And my relationship with food and body image issues, I believe, to my conscious knowledge, is really my first origin wound, and it's a really deep one. But I believe food can be sacred. I believe eating can be a practice of yoga. Yoga is not just poses on the mat, but it's union, awareness, listening. And in many ways, intuitive eating is yoga. It's learning to listen to your body, to honor its signals, to trust when it whispers, I'm hungry, and also when it whispers, I've had enough. The truth is, most of us have been conditioned out of hearing those whispers. We live in a society that numbs us through rushing, through chronic dieting, through distraction. But what if we came home? What if eating became a way back to presence, to love, to joy? This is self-respect. This is self-nourishment. That's what I want to explore today through something called the 7 guidelines of a yoga meal. These simple practices invite us to slow down, listen, and treat eating as sacred. I'll share them with you, but I'll also share my own struggles because let's face it, I'm nowhere near perfect, but I am practicing presence and honoring this journey of struggle and imperfection and finding little pieces of joy along the way. This is my journey with body image, health challenges, and the healing that happens when I begin to treat my body not as an enemy, but as my child. I talk about how this metaphor was born in the previous episode titled Pain as a Portal. Check it out. Because how would we feed our child? With kindness, care, love. That's how I want to feed my body. That's how I want us all to feed ourselves. So let's talk about these guidelines. Guideline number 1, close your eyes, breathe, give thanks. When I first started pausing before meals, it was definitely uncomfortable. I wanted to rush through and get my bites in and on to the next activity of the day. But taking 3 breaths, closing my eyes, relaxing my abdomen, my body, and saying thank you began to shift something in me. As someone who's lived with body image struggles, gratitude wasn't my natural lens when it came to eating. I was more likely to criticize myself than to thank my food. But when I started thanking the farmers, the rain, the sun, the soil, and even my hands for preparing the meal, I felt a softening. I began to realize food wasn't the enemy. Food is medicine. Food is connection. For those of us who have weight loss goals or are bouncing from extreme dieting for long periods of time, or for those who are battling with eating disorders, disordered eating, or autoimmune, or any other kind of chronic conditions and pains, food can feel complicated. We fear what might trigger symptoms. We fear how we will look. We fear the choices, but gratitude helps transform all those fears into reverence. It reminds us food is a gift, even when it's imperfect. Gratitude helps to reawaken joy. Guideline number 2, remain seated. Let's face it. Many of us stand over the sink and eat our food, and we're in a rush, or eating in the car, or eating at our desks, rushing, multitasking. Sitting feels unnecessary, like it's taken time, or putting ourselves into a box. But staying seated, it helps tell our bodies, you matter. This time matters. It's like, when you go to a yoga practice, when you go, you drive, you show up at the studio, you set up your mat, and you go through the flow, right? You're telling yourself that your health, your exercise matters. And we should apply the same concept to when we eat. Sit down, tell and remind your body you matter. This time matters. This is self-care. This is nourishment. This is where boundaries come in. Sometimes our boundaries with food are too porous. We let stress, other people's opinions, or diet culture dictate how we eat. Sometimes they're too rigid, strict rules, rigid control, no flexibility. Sitting down is a middle ground. It's a boundary that says this meal is worthy of attention. I am worthy of care. I don't have to earn the food I eat. I nourish my body. I show up. I listen to the whispers of my body. And when we sit, we can notice something that we may overlook when we're in the rush and the thick of it. And that's the hunger cues. We can notice when we're full. We can notice when we're still hungry. We can notice our true selves. This is intuitive eating. This is yoga. Guideline number 3, remain from conversation while chewing. Eating in silence is both healing and yet uncomfortable. Without conversation or distraction, we can hear our inner critics louder. The voice that says, you shouldn't eat this, you don't deserve that, you'll regret this bite. But I've learned that silence is also where I can talk back. I can remind myself of something I shared in Pain as a Portal episode. When I silenced my inner critic, I began to see my body as a child. And if I were feeding a child I love, would I scold them for eating? Would I shame them for wanting more? Of course not. I would feed them with compassion, gentleness, and joy. That is nourishment. This practice helps me choose slowly, notice flavor, and replace judgment with tenderness. But of course, refraining from conversation while chewing is really, really hard, especially if you have families and children or young ones. And if you're anything like me, when I'm trying to practice this mindfulness as I chew and honor and observe all the sensations that accompany my yoga practice through meals, I feel stress come up when my kids really demand my attention or want something and they're almost 3. They're toddlers, and toddlers like to scream and demand what they want immediately, and it can rattle nervous systems. But again, these are growth opportunities. We can't control our environments, but we can control our responses. We can mindfully return back to silence, back to chewing, after we serve whatever needs to be served through giving our child or children their needs, or honoring our partners in some way, shape, or form if they need our attentions as we eat our meal. But then we return back to the practice. Just like when you fall out of a yoga shape, you get back in it. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. It's about returning to the journey. As long as we're alive, this is the cycle. Returning back to your practice with presence. And when we do this, we can chew slowly, we can notice flavor, and we can replace judgment with tenderness. Before we continue, I want to give you a little something to look forward to. Next week's episode is a very special one. I'll be guiding you through a gentle yin yoga sequence designed specifically to reset your gut, inspired by this episode. It's actually the exact practice I do every single morning, even before I get out of bed. It helps me wake up my digestive system, realign my energy, and start the day feeling happy, healthy, and productive. I also feel really great in my body and my bones, waking up from bed instead of cranky and stiff. This is a good one. I can't wait to share it with you. You'll be able to join me for the audio version here on the podcast, or follow along with the visual class on YouTube if you'd like to practice with me in real time. So make sure you're subscribed, and maybe even share this podcast with a friend who could use a little gut reset too, because let's be honest, we all could use it. All right, let's return back to today's episode. Guideline number 4, eliminate distractions. Okay, food plus watching TV or a movie was my comfort zone for a long time. Maybe this is you too, or you plus your phone, laptop, other device. Distractions kept me from feeling uncomfortable. But here's what I've realized. When we eat distracted, we rob ourselves of the chance to connect with food, to connect with our bodies, to experience joy. We miss the opportunity to listen to our body's intelligence communicating to us our satisfaction, our satiation. We miss the opportunity to listen to our body's intelligence communicating to us when we are satisfied, when we've had enough, or when we need more. Yes, sitting with discomfort is super hard. But for those of us who've used food to numb emotions, silence can feel raw. But it's also a doorway. When I sit without distractions, I can hear my body's truth. I'm hungry, I'm full, I'm satisfied, I'm tired, I'm in pain, I need care. This is yoga. This is intuitive eating, listening deeply to sensations, letting the body be the guide. And when we can do that, we can come home. We can feel cozy and comfortable, even though we are sitting literally with discomfort. Guideline number 5, chew until your food becomes liquid. When we rush, we can miss our body's cues. We can eat past fullness and then punish ourselves later with guilt or over-exercising. But when we slow down, chewing our food until it's almost liquid, we give our bodies time to catch up. The rule of thumb is 33 chews until liquefied, and to put our utensils down between bites so we don't fall prey to muscle memory of just taking our utensil, scooping up a bite of food, and putting one into our mouth after another without liquefying our food. So put your forks, spoons down between your bites and chew 33 times. It's a sacred number, interestingly enough. Science tells us it takes 15 to 20 minutes for the brain to register fullness. But beyond science, there's soul here. Slowing down is self-respect. It's saying, I trust my body to tell me when I've had enough. And sometimes when I choose slowly, I rediscover joy. The crunch of a carrot, the sweetness of fruit, the richness of chocolate. Food becomes a celebration again, not a battleground. Guideline number 6, smaller portions and pause before seconds. This one is deeply tied to boundaries. For years, I went back for seconds automatically, sometimes out of hunger, sometimes out of fear, sometimes out of a need for comfort. Starting with less and pausing before more taught me something profound. Fullness isn't about food. Sometimes when I pause, I realize I'm actually satisfied. Other times I realize I'm still hungry, and that's okay too. The pause is where we can listen. It's where we practice discernment instead of being in autopilot. It's where we learn about our relationships with ourselves and how healthy this relationship is. And here's the thing, our bodies are wise. They are wiser than our minds will ever be. There is divine intelligence infused into every cell of our bodies, and we have to remember this. Divine intelligence communicates through our bodies by sensation. They're communicating to us every single day. They say enough. They say a little more. Pausing is how we hear them. Wisdom whispers. Fear screams. This is how we honor ourselves and practice self-care through eating mindfully. Last but not least, guideline number 7, rest and digest. This one feels radical in a culture of hustle. Our hustle culture, gosh. Well, resting after a meal used to feel lazy. Now I see it as sacred. This is one I'm still really working on. Actually, all of these I'm still working on. For those of us with autoimmune issues, stress and rushing can inflame symptoms. Resting after eating helps the body heal, helps digestion flow, helps the nervous system settle. It's self-care at the deepest level. Let's remember this. Resting is also joy. I think about a child finishing a meal and curling up, content, smiling and humming. That's how I want to treat my body. Like a beloved child, safe to rest, safe to digest, safe to be loved. So here's the truth. I don't practice all 7 guidelines perfectly. Some days I rush, some days I distract, some days I fall back into old patterns. This is a saying I use often when I teach yoga. The goal isn't perfection, it is presence. When you notice yourself slipping into old patterns and behaviors that no longer serve you, that is alignment. That is when your practice begins again. If you've lost the joy of eating, I want you to know you can find it again. These guidelines woven with intuitive eating invite us to listen, to hunger, to fullness, to discomfort, to joy. They remind us that food isn't just fuel. Food is medicine. It's relationship. Food is sacred. If you've lost the joy of eating, I want you to know you can find it again. Even if you've struggled with weight, with body image, with restriction, with autoimmune pain or any chronic pain, with shame, with guilt, with anger, sadness, you can come home to food. You can come home to your body. And maybe the next time you eat, you can ask yourself, if my body were my child, how would I feed them? How would I love them? How would I honor them? Because your body is your child, tender, wise, deserving of love, completely innocent and needing your love. And when we eat with that kind of love, we're not just nourishing our bodies. We're nourishing our souls. May you eat with presence. May you eat with love. And may you discover the joy of food, bite by bite. Thank you so much for tuning in today and sharing this space with me. If this episode spoke to you, I'd love it if you could subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who might need it too. And if you feel called to support the podcast in a bigger way, you can always drop a little love into the PayPal piggy bank. Every bit helps me keep creating and growing this space for us, for our community, for our prosperity and abundance. I'm so grateful for you, truly. Until next time, keep honoring your soul. Thank you for sharing time and space with me today. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Your support helps keep this podcast alive. And together, we thrive. I'll meet you here next Thursday. May your week be abundant and blessed. In the sound of Om, we say everything.